Hey everybody, and welcome to our first Into the Field segment. In this episode, we are going to talk about one of the most pivotal games that helped me as a child, and it all starts right now. If you are watching this video and you were born before the year 1997, you have probably seen video games transform from 4 megabit cartridges to the incredible download sizes we have today. Remember, 4 megabits is approximately 0.004 of 1 gigabyte of data. In other words, it would take 250 early Sega Genesis game cartridges to reach 1 gigabyte of data in a modern video game. And they are usually between 12 to 15 gigabytes, with some downloads reaching a required 60 gigabytes. That is equivalent to about 15,000 Sega game cartridges. Now, anyone who was born in 1990 is about to be 30 years old at the beginning of 2020, including me. If I separate my life into the 3 decades that I have lived, there is one in particular that I would say has affected me the most. The incredible years of 0 to 10. Growing up where I was at, I was restricted in the amount of time I could spend with friends due to distance. We lived beyond rurality. So I grew up with my brother, and together we grew up with video games. I remember how excited I was when my parents bought us our first Sega Genesis. As both of them worked often, I would find myself glued to the different worlds in each game, letting my imagination take control. There were so many that I enjoyed, from Revenge of Shinobi to Jurassic Park to the most difficult game, Echo the Dolphin, which I guess I didn't really enjoy because it was so hard. But one of the most important games that helped me during this time was Sonic the Hedgehog. Released in 1991, long before Sonic would ever look like Steve Buscemi. The music, iconic. The colors, vibrant. The protagonist, an amazingly fast blue hedgehog out to save the animal kingdom from the evil Dr. Robotnik, who would use technology to turn innocent animals into little robots forced to serve him. This game meant that I could be a hero. I could be that person to save all these little creatures, and I could beat the bad guy. I was excited. I would play it for hours and hours, as long as my parents would let me. I was never bored. I loved the characters, and it was always a fun experience to rev up Sonic into a fast blue ball and hit enemies along the way. Collecting rings was the best. I always wanted to keep as many as I could. I thought to myself, the only way that this can be better is if I could play it with my brother. Eventually, I got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and guess what? It was the first cooperative multiplayer game that I got to experience with my brother, where your characters could interact. As the younger brother, my role was designated Player 2, which meant I was always Tails and my brother was always Sonic when we played together. I didn't mind though, because I could fly, and Sonic needed me to get him to hidden locations with extra rings and special objects. I remember just having my brother get Sonic to latch onto Tails, and I would take him up as high as we could go on the screen before poor Tails was too tired to keep going and would need to come back down. We would try to bypass tough enemies and locations by flying over the map as much as possible. There was just something about having a buddy in the game that made it so much more special than the first. No longer were the animals depending on me alone to save them from Dr. Robotnik. They needed my team to save them. They needed me and my brother. And when only one of us could play, Tails would become my best friend, helping me along the way in our quest to beat the game. When Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out, I was immediately upset with the introduction of Knuckles. I thought, who is this red hedgehog imposter stealing all of my Chaos Emeralds? I didn't know what to think other than Tails and I were going to have to track him down and take care of business. Throughout the different levels, Knuckles continuously makes Sonic and Tails' journey harder by laying traps to make the levels longer, but you eventually get past them all. I think this game was the most frustrating for me because now, not only did I have my backup, being Tails, but now Dr. Robotnik had his backup, and his mischievous nature was similar to that of Loki from Marvel, which made him even harder to deal with. The last game from the series that I want to mention is Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball. Let me just say that this is probably the hardest Sonic game there is, at least in my opinion. I would play this game for hours just trying to pass the first level. It was incredibly tough to understand what to do at 5 to 6 years old, other than make sure Sonic doesn't fall below the 2 pinball bumpers at the bottom of the screen. Even though the farthest I ever reached on Spinball was like level 2 or 3, I was happy knowing that I tried, even though my face probably didn't show it like at all. Coming back to the present, it has been absolutely amazing to see how much the franchise has progressed. I am so blessed to have been able to play with an 8-bit, 16-bit, and completely 3D version of Sonic and be able to experience each one for the first time. Those are memories that I can happily carry with me. What feels so long ago, in a place where I could not go outside and play with friends, I had Sonic and Tails to keep me company, and when my brother and I would play together, we were unstoppable. Adventure upon adventure, animals saved by the many, and so many rings collected I could fill up my bedroom. I was the happiest kid I could be, all thanks to a tiny 8-bit character hidden away inside a 4 megabit game cartridge whose sole purpose was to rely on me to make sure he made it to the end. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Both Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 are available from SEGA on iOS in the App Store, and most likely on Android too in the Google Play Store. Check them out, and I hope you can relive the same experience I had growing up. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I will see you again on Thursday.